Tonight, breaking news. Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell just moved to a minimum security federal prison. Just a week after meeting with Trump's deputy attorney general, the woman convicted of sex trafficking for Jeffrey Epstein is moving to a facility with dorm-style housing. The move in apparent violation of the Bureau of Prison guidelines. So why did it happen? The family of an Epstein accuser saying President Trump has sent a clear message. Pedophiles deserve preferential treatment, and their victims do not matter. The Trump administration calling that absurd. Also breaking tonight, President Trump firing a top labor official after a worse-than-expected jobs report. Markets dropping as inflation rises and the trade war deepens. Plus, the president ordering 2 nuclear subs to reposition after a threat from Russia. Andrea Mitchell standing by with the latest reporting. This just in, the landmark judgment against Tesla. $243 million after a pedestrian was killed while a driver said he was using the car on autopilot. The manhunt in Montana, a gunman killing 4 people inside of a bar in the middle of the day. The takedown of that elementary school teacher who police say confessed to killing a married couple on an Arkansas trail with their kids. What led investigators to that barbershop? The cost of denial. They lost their homes in the California wildfires. So why is their mortgage company demanding balloon payments after saying they wouldn't? And the scare inside an aquarium when an octopus latches on to a 6-year-old boy. The terrifying marks left on his arm. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. With so much scrutiny on the Jeffrey Epstein case and the Justice Department's handling a stunning move tonight, Ghislaine Maxwell transferred from a low-security prison in Florida to a minimum security prison in Texas that also holds Theranos' Elizabeth Holmes and Real Housewife Jen Shah. So why now? Maxwell is serving 20 years for her role in recruiting and trafficking minors for sex. It comes just a week after the deputy attorney general met with Maxwell and her lawyer, and as she is appealing to the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction. Families of Jeffrey Epstein's victims outraged, calling it preferential treatment. Peter Alexander tonight leads us off.
Tonight, convicted Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell quietly moved to a different prison from a low-security federal facility in Florida housing men and women to a minimum-security women-only prison camp in Texas, where instead of cells, inmates share dormitory-style housing. The move comes as Maxwell's appealing to the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction and asking the president for a pardon in exchange for her cooperation. Last week, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche interviewed Maxwell for 2 days, seeking information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims. Outside, her attorney said Maxwell would welcome relief from what he called terrible conditions behind bars.
We wouldn't keep animals the way she's been kept in prison.
The Bureau of Prisons policy says convicted sex offenders like Maxwell are not eligible to be housed in a minimum security prison camp. The Bureau of Prisons would not answer questions about the move. Among those imprisoned at the Texas camp, Elizabeth Holmes and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's Jen Shah, both convicted of fraud. President Trump has said he has not considered pardoning Maxwell, but hasn't ruled it out.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it.
Tonight, the family of vocal Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre, who died by suicide in April, and 2 other accusers expressing outrage by the prison switch. Writing, President Trump has sent a clear message today. Pedophiles deserve preferential treatment and their victims do not matter. A senior administration official telling NBC News, quote, "Any false assertion this individual was given preferential treatment is absurd. Prisoners are routinely moved in some instances due to significant safety and danger concerns."
A lot of questions about the timing of this move. Peter Alexander joins us now. And Peter, I know you have some new reporting about Congress and the subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell to testify.
Yeah, Tom, that's exactly right. Tonight, the House Oversight Committee says it is willing to delay her testimony, her deposition, but it is not willing to give her immunity. It's also not willing to give her the questions in advance like she had requested. Maxwell's attorneys have spoken out tonight saying they'll keep negotiating with lawmakers. Tom.
All right, Peter Alexander, first, great to have you in studio, Peter. Also tonight, President Trump firing the head of the agency that reported a disappointing monthly jobs number this morning. The Labor Department reported hiring is slowing. The unemployment rate is ticking up. Here's Tom Costello.
A red day on Wall Street after President Trump did what he's famous for, firing people. This time, the head of labor statistic, Erica McIntyre, who Mr. Trump says, without evidence, isn't reporting accurate numbers. McIntyre not commenting. It comes after the Labor Department reported fewer jobs than expected were added in July, while also revising down by 258,000 the number of jobs created in June and May. On Truth Social, Mr. Trump posting, "We need accurate jobs numbers. I have directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately," insisting the economy is booming under Trump. The president, who had praised previous jobs reports from the same commissioner.
You look at the numbers today, the numbers were unbelievable. The numbers were incredible.
Today, offering this.
I believe the numbers were phony, just like they were before the election. And there were other times. So you know what I did? I fired her.
The weaker jobs report comes as the Trump administration announced a baseline 10% tariff for much of the world and higher for some countries, including Canada and Switzerland. Many economists believe the tariffs will fuel inflation, slow the economy, and cost jobs. The administration argues they will create more jobs. In San Antonio, Swiss chocolate shop owner Matthew Willis says the tariffs are already forcing him to raise prices.
My least expensive chocolate bar is $11, and it used to be $9. So it went up just under 20% already to account for it.
Tom joins us live. Tom, I know you have some more reporting about pressure from President Trump today on the Fed.
Yeah, that's right. One Federal Reserve board member appointed by President Biden has resigned to return to Georgetown University. And Trump today again pressured Fed Chair Jay Powell to cut interest rates, posting that Powell should be put out to pasture. Tom Costello for us. We're also following another breaking story here. President Trump tonight saying he's moving nuclear submarines as a warning to Russia after its threat over President Trump's deadline for Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine. Here's Andrea Mitchell on the sudden move.
Overnight, with Ukraine saying new Russian drone attacks on Kyiv killed 28 people, including 3 children, President Trump increasing the pressure on Russia to end its war, posting he's moving 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, following what he called highly provocative statements from former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. After Medvedev called Trump's deadline for Russia to end the war in 10 to 12 days a threat and a step towards war between Russia and the U.S.
A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
It's the first time Trump has issued a nuclear threat against Vladimir Putin, who threatened to use nuclear weapons early in the Ukraine war. U.S. intelligence said he was not serious. But Monday, Trump slamming Putin for continuing to escalate the war.
I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him.
Trump did not say whether he was repositioning submarines with nuclear engines or subs carrying nuclear-tipped missiles. The location of all submarines is top secret. Now there's only a week before his deadline for sanctions against Putin's top trading partners, China and India. Tom?
Andrea Mitchell for us. Andrea, we thank you. Now to the Mideast and President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee making that rare trip inside of Gaza to come up with a plan to send in more aid in the midst of the humanitarian crisis there getting worse. Here's Matt Bradley.
Tonight, as more parachutes of food aid drop from the sky, Gazans rushing towards them. Massive crowds carrying away sacks of flour as aid agencies warn much more is needed. Today, President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee making a rare trip inside Gaza, visiting a U.S. and Israeli-backed aid distribution point. Witkoff saying he'd give the president a clear understanding of the humanitarian situation and helped craft a plan to deliver food and medical aid. President Trump late tonight.
I spoke to Steve Witkoff. He had a meeting on getting the people fed, and that's what we want.
Huckabee saying over 100 million meals have been served at these aid sites in 2 months. But the UN says more than 1,300 people have been killed since May, mostly by Israeli attacks, while seeking food at those distribution sites. The places where we get food and aid have become death traps, says this man. Israel disputes that death toll and says they only fire at people who threaten Israeli troops. Tonight, this man says a young boy was shot while trying to bring back food. His brother hugging his body. Gunfire erupted. Many were injured. I returned with nothing for my starving family, he said. Witkoff blames Hamas for blocking a ceasefire deal, and tonight, Israel's military saying that if a deal isn't reached soon, it will fight on in Gaza. Tom?
Matt Bradley, thank you. Back at home here, a jury in Florida has found Tesla partially to blame for a 2019 deadly crash involving a driver using its Autopilot software. Dana Griffin has the details.
Tonight, a Florida jury forcing Tesla to pay $243 million to victims in a deadly 2019 crash. The jury finding flaws in Tesla's self-driving software were partly to blame.
We can be proud that we stood up and that we did everything in our power to help shine light on what's going on.
She's right there in the bushes. Dylan Angulo was seriously injured, and his girlfriend Nibel Benavidez died after the Model S electric vehicle seen here and driven by George McGee crashed into them. McGee testifying he believed the autopilot would break if an obstacle was in the way. As for Tesla, the verdict is a significant setback for the automaker, focusing much of its attention on developing self-driving taxis.
They use production vehicles as beta tests on our public roadways. And then, unfortunately, when incidents occur, as they like to say, they make changes. The problem is for the people affected, like my clients, an incident is a funeral.
Tesla says it plans to appeal, writing, "The driver is solely at fault. The driver's foot was on the accelerator, which overrode autopilot as he rummaged for his dropped phone without his eyes on the road." Misty Maris is an NBC News legal analyst and trial attorney.
This is an unprecedented case because for the first time, even though the driver of the car admitted that he was distracted, causing this fatal accident, Tesla was still held responsible for safety failures with the autopilot system.
A reminder, as this technology improves, drivers should be alert. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
And we have new video tonight of that elementary school teacher police say stabbed the couple to death in Arkansas. He had his first court appearance today, as we're learning more about how a trail of blood and witnesses' tips led to his arrest at a barbershop. Here's Sam Brock.
The 28-year-old grade school teacher turned murder suspect Andrew James McGann is behind bars in Arkansas tonight after he was formally charged with 2 counts of murder, accused of the stabbing deaths of Clinton and Kristen Brink at Devil's Den State Park.
I've got two bodies down here.
It comes as we're learning new details about his capture, including the importance of this black Kia Stinger and how it led authorities to follow McGann right through the doors of a barbershop. A witness saw a man with blood on his face drive off in a black car, according to court documents filed by prosecutors, which also say investigators used security footage to figure out the make and model, then tracked it to the salon, where McGann walked in mere minutes before law enforcement arrived.
I had chills as soon as I kind of saw through the hair that was in his forehead. I saw his brims of his eyes. They were very sunken.
According to those documents, McGann acknowledged he was the car's owner. Investigators noticed cuts on his hands and searched the Kia, finding blood inside and arresting him. They later matched DNA from blood at the crime scene to the suspect's hair.
It is the intention of this office to at least give the jury the option to seek the death penalty in this case. So the state will not be waiving the death penalty in this matter.
McGann's arraignment is set for later this month. Sam Brock, NBC News.
And in 60 seconds, the cost of denial. Victims of the Los Angeles fires say now it's their mortgage companies that are burning them. Liz Kreutz with our report just ahead. Back now with our series, The Cost of Denial, and the struggle some people who lost their homes in the Los Angeles fires are facing with their mortgage lenders as they try to rebuild. Liz Kreutz has our story.
In fire-scarred Altadena, rebuilding is underway. But for some, the construction doesn't tell the full story.
For every house like this?
Oh, there's like 5 like me. Okay, for real, for real.
Neil Smith's entire home, including the office for his architecture business, was destroyed by the Eaton fire. So when he heard about a state-led initiative for homeowners designed to temporarily delay mortgage payments for 90 days without penalty, what's commonly known as a forbearance, he jumped at the offer, feeling he needed the extra cash.
I don't need any more stress. And it was presented to me as an option. However, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near it.
That's because Smith says promises were broken. The state agreement explicitly states that when the forbearance period was up, a homeowner would be offered payment options that do not require immediate repayment in a lump sum, a so-called balloon payment. And Smith says he was also told his credit score wouldn't be affected. But he says both things are exactly what happened.
They want the whole amount due. And they go, oh, no, until you pay it off, it's still going to have an adverse effect on your credit. And I'm just going, unbelievable, unbelievable.
Amy Williams is an attorney whose firm is assisting Smith and others.
400 mortgage servicers signed up to abide by these bare minimum standards for mortgage relief. Homeowners are instead being offered the complete opposite.
You're seeing people get told, okay, your months are up, pay up.
Pay up, or we're going to begin the foreclosure process.
Her client, Altadena resident Lisa Mason, says she's been threatened with foreclosure, all because her auto payment stopped when her mortgage company mistakenly enrolled her into forbearance against her wishes. She only found out it happened when her credit score took a 120-point hit.
I really think they want me out. They want me to give up. That's truly what I think at this point.
So that what?
So that they can take the property or that I'll sell it.
Neither Mason nor Smith's mortgage providers responded to our request for comment. For Smith, who's committed to staying in Altadena, he says what was supposed to be much needed relief has instead made things like getting a loan even harder.
So having this lower credit score now, is it slowing down your rebuilding process here?
Oh, certainly, certainly. You don't have as many options, obviously. And you're going with your begging bowl.
Your begging bowl.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing is like walking around with a begging bowl. That's what it's like.
And Liz joins us live. Liz, Governor Newsom was instrumental in getting this temporary relief. So what is the state saying now?
Yeah, well, Tom, the governor's office says they're proud of the agreement made with mortgage lenders and that it's unacceptable for providers to not adhere to their commitments. The state agency that oversees financial institutions says it's received more than 100 complaints so far and that they have been able to resolve most of them. But the homeowners we spoke with still haven't received resolution, Tom.
100 complaints. All right, Liz Kreutz for us. Liz, we thank you. We're back in a moment with the manhunt in Montana after a mass shooting in a picturesque mountain town. We are back now with that manhunt in Montana tonight. The search is on for a suspect who shot dead 4 people at the Owl Bar in the middle of the day. That according to authorities in Anaconda, Montana. The suspect's name is Michael Paul Brown. The entire town is on lockdown. Authorities say the suspect is believed to be armed. A major scare at a resort in Ocean City, Maryland. More than a dozen involved in a carbon monoxide emergency. 4 people from the Ashore Resort and Beach Club taken to the hospital. The hotel now says the leak came from a boiler that is being repaired. And a mom in Texas saying this octopus grabbed her 6-year-old son's arm at the San Antonio Aquarium and wouldn't let go. It's not the first time the boy had interacted with the octopus, but this time the mom sounded the alarm. It took 3 people to pry the octopus off. And look at this. The boy was left with purple suction bruises from his wrist all the way to his armpit. That's Nightly News for this Friday. I'm Tom Llamas. Thanks so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.